This week we're going to talk about the loft and sweep commands. So let's get started. Loft and sweep. You find sweep right here and loft right here. And let's demonstrate sweep first. As you can see from the drop-down help, it allows you to draw a shape that basically is comprised of two parts. You have a profile, which is a shape you want to extrude, and then you extrude it along a path. And you notice it doesn't have to be a straight line. So in its simplest form, it looks like this. We'll start with a profile. A lot of times it can be just a circle. And we always like to throw a little dimension in there. 15 sounds good. Okay, so there's our profile. And now that profile needs a path to follow when it extrudes. So it's kind of like an extrude with some different options to it. So let's sketch on, say, this one right here, the YZ plane. We'll bring this down a little bit. I'll just tip it a little bit so you can see that that's a circle. I may need to project the geometry of my previous sketch, which is that profile. I want that dot right there. And while I'm at it, I'll grab the whole circle. I've clicked on both. A lot of times you don't need to click the dot because in this case it's the center dot. It's the center point. But it's good practice. Okay, so I've done that. In its simplest form, we just pick a line. Starting there, extrude up, click right there, escape to get out of it. There is a line in here and you can hardly see it. And I see it's a little crooked right there, which is easy to fix. I will make it vertical should work here. Oh, no. We have this right issue. So we're going to use the wrong one to straighten it up. Oh, it already contains one. So, it looks crooked because it's tipped. There. Now it's straight. Yeah, that's what it was. It looks jagged when you do this on an angle. So we'll straighten it right back up, slide it over, back out a little bit. You can see that's the line right there. Finish our sketch. Okay, so we have two parts. We have a profile and we have a path for the profile to follow. Let's get sweeping. So we'll click on sweep. Our profile has already been selected for us, and just because it won't assume, it's going to allow us to check the path, which is right here. And there. That looks like an extrude, doesn't it? Well, in its simplest form, it is an extrude. And you can do things like taper it, like say -2 or 2. I'll go at 0. But you could already do that in extrude. Here's the interesting one, is twist. I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to edit that first sketch. And instead of being a circle, let's make it convoluted. Let's throw some kind of a keyway in it. There, that should be nice and goofy. We'll get rid of the parts we don't need. Okay. And let's extrude, let's sweep that one. There's our profile. And make sure this blue line is under here when you click on it, so that allows you to select your path. Okay, so far it looks like a normal extrude. But here's the twist to it, literally the twist. I say 45 degrees. Now, you can't do that in extrude that I've seen. 90. 180. Look at that. It's twisting it. Let's go for 360. How about 720? Huh. Now it's starting to look like a coil function, isn't it? That's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, so we're making a auger. So that's what you can do with a sweep command. Okay. So this is an example of sweep. Now the other thing that sweep will do, and this is interesting too, here we'll get rid of the, well, this is kind of cool. Notice that whenever you build a 3D item, I guess you could call it, like a sweep, and you want to get rid of it, but you want to keep the sketches. If you right click on it and say delete, like I'm going to do, the consume sketches and features, which are lodged inside here, if you uncheck those and OK it, it will keep the sketches but get rid of the sweep. So why did I do that? Because I want to try this. I'm going to edit this sketch. We're going to get rid of that straight line. And we're going to put a curve line in. Starting there at the point of origin, bend it over a little bit, and we'll something around there. Let's go for that. Finish the sketch. Okay, we still have our funky looking profile. We have a curved path. How will that sweep? Okay, that's automatically selected. We'll pick the curve, and notice we kept it 720 degrees, and it followed the path and twisted it, which is really cool. Can I also taper it, like -4? Too much. How about -1? -2? -3? -3.5? Too much. 0.2. Okay. So that's sweep. And you can see sweep can do some pretty intricate shapes that it goes beyond extrude. That is really super cool, by the way. Okay, but here's one thing that sweep cannot do, and I'm going to show you. If you wanted to, okay, let's get rid of this right here. Delete that and the sketch. Now let's talk about loft. And I want to contrast and compare sweep and loft. Loft in its easiest form requires a path and at least one, it usually requires 2 profiles. Notice it says between 2 or more sketches, 2 or more profile sketches. And it requires, well, it doesn't always require a path, but it can use one to fine-tune it. And let me show you that. Let's do the simplest loft I can do. So we'll start with a sketch, and we'll just go right off the base plane here. And let's draw ourselves a circle. And let's make that a 15mm circle. Okay. So that's good. Finish that. Now, loft needs to be able to loft up to another profile somewhere above or over away from this sketch here. So what I want to do is I want to make that plane it's sitting on visible, which is the XZ plane, and I want to put another plane above it, offset from the existing one. So if I choose that, and let's bring it up, how about 15? Alright, so now let's sketch another circle on this plane above. And why not make it the same as the other one? Yeah, we'll just exaggerate it, hit our dimension, 15 again. Now it looks like there's just one there with two measurements, but don't be fooled. I'm going to rotate it. There is one above the other. So we'll finish that sketch. Now I have a profile below and a profile above. And if I hit Loft right here, and it's asking me to click to add sections. These are sections. So let's choose our first one and then click to add our second. Okay, I clicked on click to add, so now it's saying select a sketch, this one right here, and look at that. It lofted it right up there. Okay, then you OK it and you're done. Looks like an extrude, right? Well, let's modify this a little bit. We will expand this, and let's go back to our first sketch, which is sketch number 3 on here. I should rename it to bottom. And I'm going to rename this one to top. Okay, so we know the bottom one and the top one, even though they are reversed here. That's not a big deal. Bottom one, let's modify the top one. And let's make that bigger, 20 millimeters. Look at that. See, it tapered it, and not by degrees either, by an exact measurement, and that's handy. And let's modify our sketch again. Let's make it an odd shape. Let's just try this. Go from there to there, kind of like we did earlier, and then we'll go into trim here and trim off all that inside stuff we don't need that will cause a problem. Okay, how about that? It lofted it from a circle to like a keyway shape, circle with a part on the end. Okay, so far so good. Here's the cool thing that's about loft. That's as if it's not already ultra cool. You're not restricted to 2. Let's take this plane here and let's put another one right above it. Up there somewhere. And let's draw on this one. And let's put a circle right here, and let's make it smaller. Let's make it 12. Okay, 12. With me so far? And I'm going to OK it. And I am going to modify the loft command. Well, I'm going to delete the loft command. And we'll start, but we'll keep everything we put into it by unchecking these. So our sketches are all there. Super. Okay, here's what I want to show you about the loft command. And I'm going to add it down here at the bottom. When you go to loft, click to add allows more than 2. So we start with our bottom one. We add our one we call top. And then we go in here and add the very top one. Look at that. And you can keep adding to this, and it'll just follow right up. Speaking of following right up, see, there's our fancy lofted object. Okay, so now let's go a step further with this. We'll get rid of this loft command. And we'll get rid of all the sketches, well, that one there at least that we were using. I want to modify this one right here. And I want to simplify it. So we'll just highlight the whole thing, hit delete, and we will draw a circle. We can make it 15 millimeters, but here's the thing. We're going to put it over here. Okay. We'll put it over there. We'll make it the same size just for argument's sake. So now I've got one way over here, and I've got the original way down here. Now, this plane, oh, we'll finish our sketch. Okay, so notice this plane is kind of in an odd spot. It really is, that circle there is really resting on top of it. It doesn't look like it. Well, here's how you fix it. You just right click on it, and then you go over and say auto resize, and now that working plane looks better, covers more, the way it should. But back to Loft. So if we go to Loft and say click to add, say this sketch right here, and then you go over and add this one right here. Look at that, they can be offset, and not just offset left to right, back to front as well. So that is majorly offset, and it looks terrible. Well, not as much looks terrible, but notice how the sharp angle it goes across like that? If that were an exhaust header, that would be restrictive. You would want it to come out a little bit more in a little nicer angles. Well, Loft has that ability. If you go over to the Conditions tab, and you notice bottom and top sections here, we'll click on the first one here and change it to Direction Condition. Usually it's under Free Condition, which means just do it straight. If we go to Direction Condition, notice it's starting to put a curve to it. Let's do the next one. Okay, now we're getting our S curves, and those can be adjusted too. Right now the weight of it, if I lower the weight like 0.5, it'll soften those bends. Okay, so now they're not so constricting in the middle, yet they still tend to turn a little bit in these. And the opposite too, if I were to set these to 2. Notice how tight they got. In fact, that's too much. 2 is too much. 1.5 and 1.5. Okay, so the higher the number of the weight, the more it comes straight out of your profiles, and the more it will tighten the middle. So sometimes if you want this 0.25 on both, now they're relatively straight, yet they're not perfectly angled into the curve. There is a little bit. I find myself gravitating to 0.8 a lot of times. And that seems to be a good compromise. Just kind of depends on how tight you want this to be. Sometimes it's better to just make an object and another object and do 90-degree angles on it. You can do that. But this here gives you an ability to loft and adjust the bends on your lofted object. And of course, now that we have a lofted object here, I'm going to go ahead and hide this one. Visibility off, because it's kind of in our way. I'm going to hide them all. Turn off that visibility. Turn off that visibility. Okay. We'll just find them later. That's XY. Work plane 1, work plane 2. Okay. To turn that into a pipe, you would use the shell command. And 1 millimeter thickness sounds reasonable. So when you click on the first surface, it will hollow it out all the way and make the thickness, as you can see, 1 millimeter. including the thickness at the bottom. It stops within a millimeter of going all the way through. But if you want that to be a pipe, you need to also click on the other surface to remove, which is the bottom. And now it's a pipe. Okay? That is one handy command. Okay, so that's a quick overview of loft and sweep. Oh, let's do one more example here. Why not? I'll delete all these out. Yeah, I'm going to keep the bottom one, but I'm going to get rid of these. Okay, so we kept our 15 millimeter bottom one. If I click on right. Alright, so now, here's a cool trick. Let's go for that plane right there, the YZ plane, and sketch on it. I can go up here. Now watch this, this is cool. I'm going to draw a couple circles, one there and one there. Okay? We'll make this one, yeah, it's 13. Let's make them both 13. That one's 13. That one's 13. Okay? So, if I were, oh, here's the other thing I didn't do. Cancel. I made them too close to each other. They're right straight above each other. What I wanted was them offset back here a little bit. Well, we can do that. Let's finish that sketch and then delete it. What I really wanted was that plane and then add one to it. Back this way. Okay. And that's the one I want to draw on. So let's put our two circles on this one. Now I know it's only there, but I'm going to draw up here somewhere. So let's do another 13 there and there. Make that 13. Okay. And if that's an equal sign, no, that one's equal. Okay, so now they're both 13. How did it know to make that 13 and not change this one? This one had a constraint already. This one did not. And so it takes the non-constrained one and absorbs the constraints. In other words, this one's 13, it was set. This one still needed to be set. It is now equal to the one that had something typed in. Good. Escape. And I'll just slide this over a little bit, just so it looks better. So now, if I tip it this way, you can see there's a circle down here and two circles up there. Great. Let's finish our sketch. And I'm going to make them both visible. So I want the bottom sketch to be, it is visible. And this sketch I want, yeah, it's visible too. Good. Okay, so let's loft up from that one, and that one, and that one. See if we can do that. Alright, so loft. I am going to click to add. We'll start with the bottom. And then we'll work our way up. We'll just do one at a time. Oh, here's the thing. Because there's two of these, when I clicked on that outer edge, it selected that whole sketch, but I want that profile within this sketch and not that one. So I've chosen that one, and I'm gonna OK it, and look at that. It did two things. It drew a pipe straight down from there to there, and it hid this over here, which is what I expected to happen. But fortunately, I can go over to that sketch and then make it visible so we can see it all the time. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Change its visibility on so we see it all the time. It's a good reason for it coming up. The other thing too, under Loft, we'll edit the feature. We'll soften it up a little bit with conditions. We'll just go with the factory default. Weight of 1. That looks better. Okay. Okay. So now let's hit again. Make sure that that is visible. And we'll make sure that sketch there is visible. And let's do another loft. Can we? Let's see if we can choose that circle right there. Looks like it let us. I don't want the whole thing, I just want that one. And let's choose this one now. And first click chooses the whole sketch. Second click chooses that particular profile. And then if you hit OK, oh, look at that. Starting to look like an exhaust header, isn't it? The holy grail of 3D design. Now let's clean it up a little bit. So we've got a loft here and a loft here. We'll edit the feature. We'll go up to conditions and we'll let the computer smooth it out a little bit. Okay, good. The only thing left is these are still solid. For now, here's where that shell command is cool. So you go into shell command and let's say I hollow out the bottom. Then I pick this one here. So now I've got a tube there. I can select one more surface right here. And look at that. The computer designed this for me. I just pretty much told it the dimensions I wanted. Okay, let's just go one step further with this, just to show you what this can turn into. You can see that it's turning into an exhaust header, which is really cool for a two-cylinder engine. All it's missing are the flanges, and the flanges that's used for bolting, which is surprisingly easy to do. Basically, you just kind of rotate up a little bit and you pick, if you zoom in, you can pick the top of that ring right there, and that face, you click on it and you hit start a 2D sketch. I would use the center dot rectangle like I have selected there, put it right in the middle, draw myself a nice flange for bolting to an engine. And probably a really important thing to do is make sure you put a circle in the middle. Why am I doing that? Oh, and I don't have anything to click on, so I'm going to hit escape. And I am going to project the geometry of the circle. And I got to be careful, you can select a lot of stuff here. But just kind of fish around until you get that whole inner circle right there and then click it. And now I have that circle I can snap to when I do my circle. There, snapping right to it. So now I finish my sketch, and what I have now is I have a rectangle with a circle. So when I do my extrude and I select my profile, without that circle this would have been all one big solid thing. But thanks to the fact I put a circle in there, when I click on this, my extrude will allow me to not fill in the hole, which is great. So I'll OK it. And look at that. All you gotta do is put some holes in this for bolts. And you can pretty much do the same thing on this one here too. This is cool. So you just zoom in, pick one of those edges, faces, click on it, click on design, zoom out. Things just zoomed in too much. And same thing. Yeah, go with the center dot one. I'm going to assume the middle is about here somewhere. Let's go with that. I see the dotted line suggesting that. Make sure it's wide enough for your bolts to go through. project your geometry, the inner circles, like that one right there, and that one right there. Oh, and don't forget to put the circles in. Right there, it'll snap right to it. Beautiful. And right there, it will snap right to that. 10.99 millimeters? Really? Oh, that's the inner side. It's, yes, the outer dimension's different than the inner. The inner was chosen by the computer. Finish the sketch. That's something to keep in mind. You might want to actually choose your inner dimensions as opposed to let the machine do it for you. And again, extrude. And when you pick your profile, it doesn't automatically choose the, oh, yes it did. You have to be careful about that. There. You gotta watch where you put your mouse so you don't get all those. And that looks good to me. We'll just OK it. So look at what we've done. We have made an exhaust header. Or an intake. Because if you made it out of plastic, you could never run exhaust through it, but you could. And auto manufacturers do indeed make plastic intakes. And this could be one. And then all you got to do after that is drill some holes in it, smooth it out with like the fillet command. You know, there and there. You can see I just go all day with that. And why not fix those up too? Dress it up nice. Now it's starting to look professional. And there you have it. The sweep and the loft commands. And this is an introduction to them. I hope you enjoyed this quick introduction to the sweep and loft commands, and I hope you find them useful.